What if the nap you take every afternoon is quietly draining your life away? It sounds harmless, even comforting. After all, a little rest in the middle of the day seems like a reward for a life well lived. But for many people over 70, this innocent habit may be doing far more harm than good. Behind closed eyelids, as the body slips into midday slumber, a silent enemy begins its work. Because here's what the science is showing us. Frequent daytime sleep in older adults is not just a sign of fatigue. It's often a warning, a subtle red flag that your body is out of sync. Your brain may be slowing down, and your internal systems are no longer functioning as they once did. And if ignored, this simple habit can spiral into a cascade of health issues, declining memory, mood swings, poor sleep at night, even increased risk of dementia and premature death. Yes, you heard that right. This isn't just about feeling groggy or wasting time. It's about what happens inside your body when you sleep during the day, and why that pattern, over time, might be accelerating aging, weakening your heart, and silently shortening your life. In this video, we'll uncover the hidden dangers of excessive daytime napping after age 70. We'll explore what your naps are really telling you, how they affect your brain and body, and more importantly, how to break the cycle before it's too late. We'll do this through the lives of two very different people. One who made a simple but powerful change, and one who ignored the signs until it was too late. Their stories may sound familiar. They may even remind you of someone you know, or of yourself. And by the end of this video, you'll not only understand the science behind this daily habit, but you'll also see how small adjustments can protect your mind, your body, and your years ahead. Comment number 1, if you're ready. Let's start with something many people overlook: how dramatically our internal sleep rhythm changes after the age of 70. Inside every human being, there's a powerful biological clock. It regulates when we feel sleepy, when we feel alert, and how deeply we sleep through the night. This system, known as the circadian rhythm, relies on light, movement, and consistent routines to function properly. But as we age, this internal clock begins to weaken. It doesn't respond as quickly to daylight. It becomes more fragile, more sensitive to disruptions, and more vulnerable to the pull of daytime sleep. This is exactly what happened to Harold. In his 60s, he started taking short naps after lunch. At first, they were refreshing, but as time went on, those naps became longer. He began drifting off in the middle of the afternoon without meaning to. What he didn't realize was that his brain's internal rhythm was already struggling to maintain balance, and those naps were throwing it further off course. By sleeping during the day, Harold was sending mixed signals to his brain. His body no longer knew when it was supposed to rest and when it was supposed to be awake. Over time, this confusion affected the quality of his nighttime sleep. He'd wake up tired, even after 8 hours in bed. And the more tired he felt, the more he napped. A silent spiral had begun. Walter, on the other hand, noticed these shifts early. He began waking earlier than usual, feeling drowsy after meals, and finding it harder to stay up past 9 p.m. But instead of giving in to those signals, he made small but consistent changes. He started taking his morning coffee outside. He opened all the blinds to flood the house with light, and he kept himself gently active after meals, tidying up the kitchen, walking to the mailbox, even tending to his tomatoes. Those small actions had a powerful effect. His brain began receiving the right cues again. Morning light meant wake up, afternoon activity meant stay alert, and darkness at night meant sleep. His circadian rhythm, though older, began to find its rhythm again. According to research published in the journal Sleep Health, Older adults who maintain consistent exposure to light and activity during the day are more likely to preserve healthy sleep cycles and less likely to experience cognitive decline. On the other hand, irregular patterns and daytime sleep have been linked to fragmented nighttime rest, lower sleep quality, and slower mental performance. So, what about you? Have you noticed yourself feeling more tired during the day than you used to? Do you find yourself drifting off in front of the TV or while reading after lunch? Now, moving to the second factor that silently affects longevity, how daytime napping disrupts nighttime sleep. It's a cycle that sneaks up on many older adults. You feel a little tired after lunch. You lie down just for a few minutes, and before you know it, you've slept an hour or more. Then comes bedtime, and suddenly, sleep doesn't come. You lie awake, you toss, you turn, you check the clock, and by morning, you're exhausted again. That's exactly what happened to Harold. For years, he believed his afternoon nap helped him catch up on rest. But what he didn't realize was that this daytime sleep was gradually chipping away at the depth and quality of his night's sleep. Each nap made it harder to fall asleep at night. And each restless night made the next day's nap feel even more necessary. He was trapped in a cycle, and the worst part was, he didn't know it was avoidable. Harold's story is more common than we think. As we age, our body produces less melatonin, the hormone that helps regulate our sleep-wake cycle. Our sleep becomes lighter and more easily disrupted. If we nap during the day, we reduce the brain's pressure to fall asleep at night. And over time, this leads to fragmented sleep, shallow rest, and a constant feeling of fatigue. Walter noticed this same pattern trying to form in his own life, but he made a choice not to let it take hold. Instead of lying down when fatigue crept in, he got up and moved. Sometimes just walking around the block, sometimes watering the plants or calling a friend. His body resisted at first, but gradually, the drowsiness gave way to clarity. He stayed, active through the afternoon, and more importantly, began sleeping deeper and longer at night. Science backs this up. A study published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society found that older adults who nap frequently during the day experience significantly more nighttime disturbances, including delayed sleep onset and lower sleep efficiency. In contrast, those who avoid daytime naps tend to fall asleep faster and wake less often during the night. The truth is, good sleep at night doesn't start at bedtime. It starts with how you move through your day. So ask yourself, is your afternoon nap helping you, or stealing the rest your body needs most? Here's the third behavior that slowly undermines your health: frequent daytime naps and their link to cognitive decline. It's easy to brush off forgetfulness as a normal part of aging, misplacing the keys, repeating a question, walking into a room, and forgetting why. But when those moments become more frequent, they may be more than just age. They might be a warning. That's what happened to Harold. At first, it was just the occasional lapse. He couldn't recall the name of a neighbor. He started mixing up days. His daughter noticed he asked the same question twice during a phone call. Still, Harold didn't worry. He blamed stress, distraction, even his hearing. But as his naps grew longer and more frequent, the fog in his mind thickened. His once sharp memory began to blur, and with each passing month, he withdrew a little, more embarrassed, confused, unsure of what was happening to him. What Harold didn't know was that the habit he saw as harmless, his daily nap, was feeding the very problem he feared. A groundbreaking study published in Alzheimer's and Dementia found that older adults who nap frequently during the day have a significantly higher risk of developing Alzheimer's disease. The research revealed that daytime sleeping may not only be a symptom of cognitive decline, it may be contributing to it. When we nap excessively, we reduce the brain's opportunity to complete critical nighttime processes like memory consolidation, toxin clearance, and neural repair. Without those, cognitive health begins to erode. Walter took a different path. When he noticed early signs of mental fatigue, difficulty focusing, forgetting small tasks, he acted. Instead of sleeping, he stimulated his brain. He started reading historical biographies. He joined a discussion group at the local library. He even began learning basic Spanish with an app, challenging his brain just enough to keep it active. The result? He felt sharper. He could recall details more easily. And during his last wellness checkup, his doctor noted excellent cognitive function for his age. The difference wasn't luck, it was daily choice. If your brain feels slower than it used to, if names and dates are slipping away more often, it may be time to ask what role your daytime sleep is playing. Up next, the fourth sign that many people dismiss: how daytime napping may be tied to something deeper than tiredness. Emotional withdrawal and undiagnosed depression. Fatigue can wear many masks, and for older adults, it often shows up as the desire to sleep when the body isn't truly tired, but when the mind feels heavy, unfocused, or disengaged. This was exactly what began to unfold in Harold's life. After his wife passed away, the silence in his home grew louder. The routines they once shared faded. Meals were quicker, phone calls less frequent, and somewhere in that loneliness, Harold began spending more time lying down. It wasn't just physical exhaustion, it was a way to escape, to fill the hours. His afternoon nap became a form of retreat, a quiet place where he didn't have to think or feel. What Harold didn't realize is that excessive napping, especially when it replaces social interaction or mental engagement, is a known signal of late-life depression. According to a study published in the American Journal of Geriatric Psychiatry, frequent daytime sleep in older adults is often associated with symptoms of depression, even when those symptoms aren't fully recognized or expressed. In contrast, Walter found his own way through the emotional shifts that come with aging. He had moments of sadness too, memories of lost friends, the aches of slowing down. But he chose activity over withdrawal. When he felt low, he took his cup of tea to the park and struck up conversation with passers-by. He joined a community gardening group. He made time each week to visit his grandchildren, even if just to listen to them talk about their day. Those simple acts helped stabilize his mood and gave him something powerful: purpose. Studies show that older adults who stay mentally and socially engaged experience significantly lower rates of depression and better overall health. And avoiding daytime napping, when it's rooted in emotional fatigue rather than physical need, is one small but important way to stay in motion, internally and externally. So if you find yourself sleeping more during the day, not because you're tired, but because you feel disconnected, unmotivated, or simply down, it's time to take a closer look. As we move forward, there's a fifth pattern that deserves attention: how daytime sleep often leads to physical decline and increased risk of falls, weakness, and frailty. The human body was designed for movement. Our muscles, joints, and balance systems rely on regular activity to stay sharp and functional. But with age, it becomes easier and more tempting to slow down. A brief nap becomes a habit, then a routine, then a lifestyle. Before long, hours meant for gentle motion are replaced by stillness, and the cost of that stillness can be devastating. For Harold, this shift happened gradually. As his afternoon naps grew longer, his body moved less. He no longer stretched in the mornings. Walks to the mailbox became infrequent. Even going up and down the stairs felt more difficult. One afternoon, as he stood up quickly after a nap, he lost his balance and stumbled into the coffee table. A bruised hip, a shaken confidence, and a growing fear of falling again. That fear made him even more sedentary, feeding a dangerous loop of decline. The truth is, when we stop moving, our muscles begin to atrophy. Our balance deteriorates. Even short periods of inactivity during the day can reduce coordination and slow reaction times. According to a study in the Journal of Gerontology, older adults who nap excessively are significantly more likely to report reduced physical function, mobility challenges, and falls. Walter took a very different approach. He saw his energy dips, not as a signal to lie down, but as a cue to move, gently and consistently. He walked his neighborhood every morning, even in winter. After lunch, instead of resting, he did light stretches or small tasks around the house. He made a point to stand and move every hour, even if just to water a plant or put away dishes. Over time, this low-intensity movement helped preserve his strength and balance. His gait remained steady, his posture upright, and when his doctor conducted a full risk assessment, Walter scored better than many patients 10 years younger. The body, like the mind, thrives on stimulation. And while rest has its place, excessive daytime inactivity, especially in the form of sleep, can quietly chip away at the very systems that keep us safe and independent. If you felt your strength slipping or your balance weakening, it may not be age alone. It might be how your body is spending its afternoons. Let me share the sixth reason why many fail to maintain good health: how frequent daytime sleep is linked to underlying inflammation and metabolic dysfunction, especially in aging brains. We often think of naps as purely restorative, but what if your need to sleep during the day wasn't just about being tired? What if it was your body's way of telling you that something deeper is off balance? That was the silent reality in Harold's case. Unaware of the changes happening beneath the surface, he began feeling sluggish not just mentally, but physically. His appetite changed. He started gaining weight, particularly around the waist. His blood sugar fluctuated, and after a routine checkup, his doctor mentioned signs of early insulin resistance, a red flag for both diabetes and accelerated aging. What the doctor didn't mention, and what Harold never suspected, was that his prolonged daytime sleep may have been part of the problem. Recent research in Nature Aging has revealed an unexpected link. Older adults who nap regularly during the day tend to show higher levels of inflammatory markers in their blood, subtle, chronic inflammation that is associated with everything, from heart disease to dementia. At the same time, metabolic shifts begin to occur. Glucose regulation becomes less efficient. The brain receives less energy. Fatigue increases. And to compensate, the body seeks rest, leading to more daytime sleep. It's a cycle few recognize until damage is already underway. Walter, too, experienced dips in energy, but instead of retreating into sleep, he addressed the cause. He adjusted his diet, cutting back on refined sugars, increasing hydration, and adding more fiber-rich vegetables. He took short walks after meals to help regulate his blood sugar. And when fatigue crept in, he used it as a cue to check in with his body, not to shut it down with sleep, but to gently stimulate it with movement and light. As a result, his energy remained steady, his lab results improved, and his brain, nourished by oxygen, motion, and stable glucose levels, continued to function with clarity and purpose. The link between inflammation, metabolism, and mental sharpness grows stronger with each new study. And while it might seem like a nap is harmless, it may be your body's cry for balance, a quiet sign that your internal systems are no longer working in sync. If you've been battling low energy or unexplained weight gain, it may be time to look beyond the nap and into the systems it might be signaling. Finally, there's one last habit that might surprise you. Not a behavior to avoid, but one to embrace. The life-saving power of small, intentional changes. Because for many people over 70, the damage caused by daytime sleep isn't the result of laziness or neglect. It's the result of resignation, the quiet belief that nothing can really be changed anymore, that the body has already made up its mind, that this is just how it is now. But Walter proves otherwise. He didn't overhaul his life overnight. He didn't buy expensive equipment or follow some extreme plan. Instead, he made small, thoughtful changes, anchored in consistency, not intensity. He set a regular wake-up time and stuck to it, even on weekends. He prioritized morning light, exposure, opening his curtains wide and stepping outside for just a few minutes. He replaced his afternoon nap with a short walk or a phone call to a friend. And when fatigue crept in, he responded not with surrender, but with gentle action. A glass of water, a stretch, a breath of fresh air. Over time, those small decisions rewired his sleep, boosted his mood, and preserved his sharpness. They built a quiet rhythm of vitality that strengthened his body and mind without force. And science supports him. Studies published in the Lancet Healthy Longevity show that older adults who engage in regular, low-intensity activities, especially outdoors, experience improved sleep, better mood, and lower risk of chronic disease. Even 15 to 20 minutes of consistent movement per day can reshape biological rhythms and reduce dependence on daytime rest. Harold, on the other hand, waited too long. He told himself each nap was temporary, that tomorrow he'd start walking again. That soon he'd feel motivated. But the days blurred, his energy waned, and by the time he was ready to change, the damage to his sleep, his memory, and his strength had already taken root. The truth is this: change is always possible, but it favors the consistent over the extreme. A brighter morning, a shorter nap to step outside, a call instead of silence. If you've been waiting for a sign that it's not too late to reclaim your energy, your clarity, and your health, this is it. Now that we've uncovered the hidden risks behind daytime sleep, after 70, let's return to where we began, with a simple question. What is your nap really doing to your body? You've seen how something as small as an afternoon rest can signal deeper disruptions, how it quietly breaks down your natural sleep rhythm, weakens your body, clouds your memory, and may even open the door to chronic illness, emotional decline, and accelerated aging. But you've also seen the other side. Walter's story reminds us that aging does not mean surrender, that your brain, your body, and your energy are still responsive to change, that even small, consistent adjustments, more light, more movement, more intention, can restore balance, deepen your sleep, sharpen your mind, and renew your strength. The truth is, longevity is rarely built on dramatic moments. It's built in the quiet hours, in the routines we choose, in the habits we allow to grow or decide to release. If you've recognized yourself in Harold, you're not alone. But you're also not stuck. You can reclaim your afternoons. You can reset your rhythms. You can replace sleep that drains you with activity that restores you. And maybe, just maybe, today is the day that starts it all. If this message spoke to you, comment below. Let others know they're not alone. And if you're ready to protect your mind, your body, and your future, take that next step. Like this video so it reaches more people who need it. Subscribe for more health wisdom designed for your stage of life. And hit the notification bell so you never miss a powerful reminder like this again. Your life after 70 still holds incredible potential. Don't let it slip away in silence. Let's move forward, awake, aware, and alive.